Meghan Markle is set to be honoured for her work championing women and undeserved communities at a major gala event in LA. Riley Sullivan is a lifestyle reporter here at skynews.com.au and he's always across the latest celebrity.
Oh, this one's gonna hurt. It started as classic British banter, but what felt like comedy gold to the audience hit Meghan Markle like a wrecking ball made of sarcasm. Graham Norton didn't just roast her, he slow-cooked her on live TV. He called her a mini Brigitte Macron, which is Brit speak for, you wish you had that kind of influence. Less charm, more PR. That's not a joke, that's a diagnosis. The crowd ate it up, roaring like they'd waited years for someone to say it out loud. But here's where it gets brutal. One person in the room did not laugh, and what they did next completely flipped the vibe. Meanwhile, in Montecito, Meghan was reportedly fuming, because nothing says public meltdown like watching your perfectly filtered brand get torn apart by a punchline you didn't approve. Her whole identity, airbrushed into perfection, just got shredded by one smug grin and a 10-second joke.
About this Meghan Markle update, she's going to be honoured for her work championing women and undeserved communities at the prestigious Natural History Museum of Los Angeles Gala later this month. What's the story behind the decision to give this award to Meghan?
And just like that, the woman who once said she was going to change the monarchy from the inside got reduced to a walking meme again. Only this time, it wasn't a trashy tabloid doing the damage. Nope, it was the freaking BBC. Prime time. Graham Norton didn't just call her a mini Brigitte Macron, he practically gift-wrapped the insult and handed it to the internet. Not the real Brigitte, who actually has political pull, but the discount version. Less power, less class, way more self-promotion. It was the kind of insult that sounds polite on paper but hits like a frying pan. And while the crowd howled, Meghan reportedly went into full meltdown mode behind closed doors. Phones were blowing up, PR teams scrambling, Montecito shaking. But that's not even the worst part, because this time, the roast came from a respected stage, not some tabloid she could just ignore. It was a full-blown international takedown, and she walked right into it.
Kind of an interesting decision. As we know, I didn't really see an immediate link between the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles and Meghan Markle. It was sort of unclear the connection. I think that the award is ostensibly to honour her work supporting communities and women. I don't really see a connection here. I think
this wasn't just a roast, this was a global body slam. On paper, being compared to Brigitte Macron might sound classy, powerful, even flattering. But Graham Norton wasn't handing out compliments, he was throwing daggers with a smirk. He didn't say Brigitte Macron, he said mini Brigitte Macron. Translation? Meghan's the budget version, a knockoff. All the PR, none of the power. It was straight-up surgical sarcasm, the kind that cuts without raising its voice. And here's where it gets ridiculous, because in Britain, where roasting people is basically a sport, that joke wasn't just for laughs. It was a judgment. Meghan isn't seen as a leader or some misunderstood changemaker. She's a walking press release, a brand polished to the point of parody. And when that clip hit social media, she reportedly lost it. Her team jumped into panic mode, calling media friends to clarify the context, while the rest of the Sussex squad went radio silent. Why? Because even they knew there was no way to spin this into a win.
the only thing I can think of in recent times was, of course, during the horrible Los Angeles wildfires. I think her and Harry really sort of stepped up. They volunteered. I know they donated some money. So I think, in terms of the Los Angeles area, that's the only real link I can make.
If you want to know why Meghan Markle went nuclear over a joke, you've got to understand one thing. This woman is obsessed with image. Not personality, not substance, not even basic connection. Just the image. She built her post-royal life like a Pinterest board, all glossy branding, inspirational quotes, and public appearances so staged they make reality TV look real. Every word is rehearsed, every photo is filtered. Her podcast? Critics said it sounded like a TED Talk trapped in an echo chamber. And that Netflix cooking show? It had all the flavor of plain toast. Viewers said it lacked depth, lacked charm, and honestly, lacked a reason to exist. So when Graham Norton called her a mini Macron, he wasn't just being cheeky. He cracked the mask. He didn't roast the woman, he roasted the illusion. And that's why Meghan took it personally. Because it hit where it hurts, right in the fantasy she's been working overtime to sell.
All right, everybody check out Bamboozled by Jesus, How God Tricked Me into the Life of My Dreams by Yvonne Orji. It's out in paperback now. Graham's novel, Forever Home, is available Tuesday, September 19th. Gadi Peleg from Bread's Bakery Is behind the bar. Happy New Year.
Let's be real. Brigitte Macron walks into global summits and shapes policy. Meghan walks into a podcast studio, lights a $90 candle, and whines about how hard it is being rich and famous. One is actually doing stuff that matters, the other is staging photo ops and suing tabloids because someone spelled her name wrong. And here's where it gets brutal. The crowd didn't just laugh, they cheered. That's the public saying loud and clear, "We're over it." Meghan's not some brave duchess fighting the system anymore. She's a walking Hallmark card with a legal team. The glow-up is gone. The sympathy's dried up. She's not untouchable. She's just cringe.
Quiet domestic dramas. It's set in Ireland. It's a sort of family mystery. It's sort of there's a bit of cozy crime, but it's easy reading. It's a plane, it's a beach, it's that kind of thing.
Cozy crime.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our virtual fans. Dominique from Toronto. What's your question for Yvonne?
Hi, everybody.
She's not a princess. She's a cautionary tale with a podcast. The second Graham Norton dragged her on national TV and did it with zero fear of her PR hit squad, you knew the tide had turned. Meghan's so-called brand isn't just slipping, it's face-planting in real time. This wasn't met with outrage or pearl clutching. People laughed, loud, because at this point, she's less royalty and more reality TV rerun. And then came the panic. Sources say there was a full-on emotional meltdown in Montecito. Meghan reportedly thought about firing back, maybe through a friend, maybe a dramatic voice note, maybe another pity party podcast. But it didn't matter. The joke already landed. The damage? Done.
Hi, everybody. So happy to be here today. Andy, I've been watching your show for years, so I'm a huge fan here in Toronto.
Thank you.
No worries. My question today is for Yvonne. Do you still include jokes of your parents in your stand-up routine? And do your parents ever get annoyed by this?
Once again, Meghan lost control of the story. And this time, it didn't end up in some angry column from Piers Morgan or a shady tabloid hit piece. Nope, it got dragged straight into the savage world of satire, where she's got zero power and even less sympathy. And let's be honest, that's her biggest fear. Not hate, not gossip, irrelevance. Because in Hollywood, getting booed is better than being ignored. But now she's not even feared, she's being laughed at. And if you think that roast was bad, buckle up. Her Netflix flop, With Love, Meghan, is crawling back for another season, and the early reviews are in, it's somehow even more boring than the first one. No substance, no charm, just more soft lighting and fake vibes. She needed a win. What she got was another reminder that the public's done clapping for the performance.
Are the centerpiece of my comedy, the core foundation of them. And, my sister-in-law had to, tell my mom before my last taping. She was like, the comedians use family as inspiration. It's not all the way true. My mom was like, but why must she lie? I was like...
With Love, Meghan was supposed to be her big comeback, her soft, shiny, Instagram-perfect way of taking back the spotlight. But instead of a triumph, it turned into a tragedy, in slow motion. The whole thing felt like watching paint dry on a Pinterest board. Viewers dragged it for being bland, empty, and dripping with self-love. One UK commentator didn't even sugarcoat it. She flat out said, "There's nothing there." And honestly, she wasn't wrong. Meghan wants to be Oprah with the wisdom, Martha Stewart with the empire, and maybe sprinkle in a little Michelle Obama glow. But here's the problem. You actually need talent for that. You can't bake your way to relevance with fake smiles and camera angles. At some point, people want substance, not just soft filters and empty quotes. So tell me, who's watching this show and actually learning anything?
Because she has become a celebrity, my mom will WhatsApp me and be like, this is something for you to add in your set. I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that.
Don't pitch me, Bits.
No, don't pitch me.
We have 2 Nigerian housewives on the Housewives of Potomac.
I'm aware.
Yes, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And Brigitte Macron too? Please. Meghan's out here trying to Voltron herself into Oprah, Martha, and Brigitte Macron like she's collecting Pokemon cards for personality. But here's the deal. You need more than soft lighting and curated Instagram posts to pull that off. You need depth. You need actual charisma, not rehearsed charm. And that is why the mini Brigitte Macron jab hit harder than 1,000 clickbait headlines. Because even in the shiny world of high society and red carpet politics, the message is loud and clear. Meghan Markle is not taken seriously. She's got celebrity friends, fancy deals, and enough PR to cover a small country. But at the end of the day, it's all borrowed shine on a brand that's running on fumes.
Nigeria is Africa's most populous country. You're about to have
right.
Yeah.
Here are Robert and Lynette from San Francisco with a question for Graham. Hi, you two. What's your question?
Bill Graham to win the National Television Award for TV interview and beat Piers Morgan.
Yeah, she's got the mansion, the money, and the manicured garden, but what she doesn't have is the one thing you can't fake with filters: a real personality. Brigitte Macron moves through the world with class and actual influence. Meghan? She's out here hawking overpriced jam like it's a revolutionary act and doing awkward little Instagram dances in a baseball cap that says, "Let us remain calm." Girl, you're not a princess, you're a Pinterest project gone rogue. The tiara's imaginary, and the kingdom? Just a dusty Netflix deal nobody's renewing. And here's where it gets real: the public's bored. The media's done tiptoeing. Even guys like Graham Norton, who used to stay neutral, are now openly dragging her. The illusion is collapsing. The sparkle's gone. And what's left behind the curtain? No legacy, no vision, just a never-ending PR stunt echoing off the marble walls of a Montecito mansion nobody's listening to.
I didn't know that. I wasn't there. I had to zoom in to accept the award, but it was worth zooming in to see the expression on Piers Morgan's face.
Really? And what interview did you win for? Was it for a specific interview, or was it...
That's a good question.
She's probably pacing around that Montecito mansion right now, seething while clips of Graham Norton turn her into a meme instead of a monarch. And honestly, deserved. She's got a whole army of PR handlers, mood lighting, and Instagram filters, but somehow still can't read the room. Every time she tries to come back as the relatable Duchess, it flops harder than her Spotify deal. Archwell Audio, a ghost town, her Netflix lifestyle show, a glitter-covered snooze fest. It's all vibes, no value. And the public's not falling for it anymore. People are done with polished perfection and fake vulnerability. They want real voices, not another overly branded monologue in a kitchen that looks like a restoration hardware catalog. Meghan keeps serving glossy nothingness on a silver platter, and guess what? No one's hungry. The Harry and Meghan brand used to feel bulletproof. Now it's sinking under its own fake sparkle.
Overriding kind of feeling about Harry and Meghan over there at this point?
Well, it's difficult. I think in the press, it's very kind of anti-them.
Yes.
And it's been sort of a gift to William and Kate, because now they're like deified in the British press. Now, they could do no wrong.
Right.
I mean, Kate could do a hit and run. And
She wanted to be seen as a voice for change, but now she's just the punchline to a mini Brigitte Macron joke, which is fancy talk for fake it till you flop. She's out here playing dress-up in power suits she didn't earn, clinging to a fantasy while the world moves on. And here's where it gets ridiculous. The more people call out how empty the brand is, the more Meghan doubles down, like she's convinced the problem is everyone else. But silence from audiences? That's louder than any press release. Netflix is losing interest. Talk show hosts are sliding in jabs with zero fear. This isn't just a fall from grace, it's an implosion you can watch in real time. Unless she crawls out of that Montecito bubble and finally gives the public something real, she won't be remembered as a pioneer, just a punchline. Meghan Markle went from royal icon to viral roast material. That Graham Norton joke? It wasn't just comedy, it was a straight-up autopsy of her failed rebrand. She wanted to take over Hollywood. Now she's what Hollywood laughs at during the closing monologue. So let's be honest, how much longer can she pretend no one notices? How much longer can she play the victim, sell the misunderstood genius bit, and expect people to keep buying the hype while every single project tanks on arrival? And this isn't just about a bad show or one TV joke. This is about the truth finally catching up to the marketing. The public has spoken, and they're not buying it anymore. But if you see through it, if you're tired of being fed the same fake inspirational fluff while the house burns down, then yeah, it's time to speak up. The final episode of With Love, Meghan tries one last Hail Mary. Prince Harry pops up, hands out hugs, smiles across a perfectly lit dinner table. But even that felt like a desperate scene from a scripted reality show. Harry, the guy who said he wanted privacy, is now playing waiter on Netflix. Critics didn't miss a beat. They saw it for what it is, a last-ditch PR move from two people clinging to the edge of their own fading spotlight. Meghan isn't building a legacy. She's riding a sinking ship made of sponsorships and sob stories. Once called modern disruptors, now they're just full-time image managers. They've burned bridges, fumbled deals, and bored both sides of the ocean. Every time a podcast bombs, every time a show flops, their credibility drops with it. If this is rock bottom, it's got a soft glow, an influencer filter, and zero depth. And unless they switch lanes fast, the world's already packing up and moving on. So smash that like button if you're done with the endless victim monologues and empty sparkle. Drop a comment, tell us, does Meghan still have any credibility left? Did Graham Norton just have a laugh, or did he strike a nerve? You decide. And don't forget to share this video with someone still sipping the Sussex Kool-Aid. Because this ain't about gossip, it's about truth. It's about holding the powerful accountable, even when they're hiding behind crown emojis and Netflix checks. The era of accountability is here. And Meghan Markle, her clock's ticking loud.